Welcome to the Public Safety Committee. Today is May 18. It's 6:02 p.m. We have Councilor Derby and Councilor Rothschild here in our meeting. We don't have any minutes to approve at this time. If any from the public, they want to say something that is not part of the agenda. If anyone from the public want to say something that's not part of the agenda, now is the time to speak. I guess no. So let's go to the business. I want to start with what we finished last time, that was with the ban on facial recognition surveillance technology ordinance. We make some changes. I sent it to the councilors like probably 3-4 days ago. I hope you guys read it and carefully review it. I do the same with the chief of police. I send it and he review it, and he answer via email saying that he is happy. I don't know if happy is the right word, but he's okay with the language. Yes, that's what we have today. Is any concern from Councilor Derby or Rothschild about this new language?
No, thank you.
And my intent with questioning that the other day was just making sure that we were really clear to understanding, who the fine was getting charged to and how that was going to work, to make sure, because I know that something was mentioned about the person who was violated getting the money, and
Yes.
And I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page.
And I think part of the violation now are adding the language about Section 6-15B and Chapter 6 of the city ordinance. I think that would that was good to add it there too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that cover a lot of misunderstanding if someone have it.
Mhm. I think it's really helpful to, whenever we can, refer to our given laws in the city and ordinances, so that we have something, just a reference point. So thank you.
Definitely. Chief, do you want to make any comment before we make any motion or vote in this particular ordinance?
No, I just to reiterate that I thought it was a great idea to refer back to the general ordinances, so as not to convolute or make it any more confusing to folks, and to know who's getting fined and what they're getting fined for and how much.
Thank you, Chief. Hi, Councilor Peak. We just start the meeting. We start talking about if any of the councilors for the committee have any question about the new language or the language that we add and fix the ordinance. They don't. They're look like they're happy with the new language. Is any comment that you want to make?
No, I just think I'm really I'm glad that Councilor Derby noted how that language could be confusing, because it gave us an opportunity to sort of clean that up, which I think is it'll make it a lot better going forward. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with where it is right now.
Thank you, Councilor Peak. I just wanna, before we make any motion, I wanna give the opportunity to Javier to see if he wanna say something, or any from the public related to this ordinance.
First, on behalf of the ACLU, we are really appreciative of the work that the City Council has done so far. Councilman Derby, you said, I just wanted to be sure about this. I really appreciate the fact that as the chair of the Ordinance Committee, you have a unique insight about these kind of details. And these kind of comments, these kind of long conversations, the only thing that it does is to add up for a more thoughtful and comprehensive ordinance. I want to say thank you so much to Tom for being the co-sponsor of this piece of legislation. Councilwoman Rothschild, thank you so much for your insightful questions last Public Safety Committee session. And also to Chief Alberti for his position on this and other matters that we have discussed. And the main sponsor, Omar Gomez, I want to say thank you for bringing this forward, for allow us as an ACLU to work on this statewide, hoping that in the short term, at the state level, we will have a change in law coming from the State House that will cover the entire Commonwealth. So on behalf of Kate Crawford, Director of Technology, Emiliano Falcon, Tech Council, Bill Newman, present here, who was the one who worked in the final version of the changes of the language, Director of the Legal Office in Western Massachusetts, and myself, I want to say we're really thankful for your work. We're really appreciative, and we hope to keep working with you, and we hope that in the coming sessions, we're going to be able to pass this legislation with the City Council.
Thank you, Javier. Anyone else? No. Okay, before taking a motion, that I know you guys are ready to make a motion, but before making a motion, I just want to say thank you to the ACLU, to Javier for the hard working that he's doing, to the Chief Alberti for back and forward with the language and the concerns, the legitimate concern about some of the language in the ordinance, for Derby and Rothschild for reviewing the language and bring some good points to cover everything before we move forward. And to Councilor Tom Peake, I have to say that it's a pleasure for me to be working with you guys. I really enjoy working with you guys, and every day I learn so much from each of you guys. You know, from Javier, from the Chief, from Councilor Derby. Every time that he asks something that I never thought about it, I think it's amazing having you guys and being working with you guys. I'm really proud to pass this. I mean, I know we're gonna pass it. I'm really, really, really proud because after passing the Welcoming Trust Ordinance, I think this is an extension of it to let everybody know that you are safe in our city and that the police department and each department in our city is working for the best of their citizens. I'm really proud to work with you guys. Now we'll take a motion for the ban on facial recognition surveillance technology.
I'll move it.
We didn't hear you.
I would be happy to move it.
And
Yes,
I second
I know.
it.
I hear you, Derby.
I second.
Yeah.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion?
Just
Yes,
one
Councilor Derby?
quick thing. And I think, so you might want to just check in with the council president to see if she thinks that our city solicitor should review this before. That's the only thing, just from ordinance, that's a question I ask almost every time.
Okay.
So, and I don't know what her answer is going to be, but it might be just worth asking. And I mean, we can still vote for it and everything else, but that might be a question to ask Peg.
Okay, I will.
Cool.
Any other comment from Councilor Rothschild?
Nope.
No? Councilor Derby?
Yes.
Councilor Rothschild?
Yes.
I go yes. So 3-0, ordinance pass. I already talked to Madam President Conniff, but I didn't cover that. You see, again, something there. I covered most of everything. One of the things is the public hearing. On June 3rd, we're gonna discuss. We're gonna review the budget, and that instead of 2 days, voting to have a public hearing for June 3rd. I want to wait until that day because probably we're going to have another meeting in June. If we have another meeting in June, I think it's going to be June 17. So I will move a motion to do the public hearing June 17. If we don't have a public hearing June 17, so I'm going to propose to do it on July 1st. So I just want to give you that information because the budget is big. Probably it's going to be a lot of questions. Probably it's going to be a few challenge to the budget. So I just want to let you guys know that I have already had that discussion with the President Conniff. But beside that, I think that's a good point. I will ask her to see if we have to send this legislation to the city solicitor.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to discuss all this stuff, but if you guys want to stay, I'm happy to having you here.
I'm hopping off. Thank you so much for everything, for allowing me to speak there today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Emiliano.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Javier. Bill, thank you. I mean, you're
All
welcome
right.
to
Are you leaving, Chief?
Bob? Thank you, Bob.
No, I'll be here. I'll be here.
Oh, good.
good.
Perfect.
It is public safety after all.
Yeah, it is public safety. Yeah, it is public
It is.
safety. Okay, the motion passed 3-0. We're gonna move forward. Okay. I know Councilor Rocha have a few last meeting. You want to talk about a few of the businesses that we have in our agenda. Something particular that you wanna talk?
Well, it's just with the speeding in town, how we were going to talk about setting up a committee. We put that on hold because of COVID, and I feel like we should maybe take it off hold and start moving forward with that, seeing as this is our new way of life.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I would like to, whatever the next step would be, I think, where were we with that?
We was having a conversation with the BPW to see how we can mitigate the speeding in our streets, and that was back and forward, a few letters from them and us. But after this, and trying to figure it out when they're gonna meet. Last time when I signed in for the meeting, I just find out that they canceled the meeting at the last minute or something like that. So I didn't have any chance to talk to them, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, I remember the recommendation was to put together a committee, and
Yes. And again, after that, they were supposed to create the committee. All this thing happened.
right. So I just want to get that back
Okay.
going.
Yeah. I will try to talk to the mayor and the president of the council to figure out how we can do that committee.
Okay, and I also just, as a note of that, there has been some concerns about the speeding on Clark with vehicles and Sergeant, what's his title, Scribner. He's been very responsive to members from Clark Street who have been communicating with him, and I think they feel very, I live in this area, we feel very heard, and that there's someone working with us in the city to address the speeding of the
Yes,
commercial vehicles.
and I'm pretty sure, I think I drove by that like a few days ago, and I think I saw the speed limit radar or something like that. The police have the data. I think they put one there probably last week or something like
Yeah,
that.
there was an email from a resident on Clark. There's like a smaller subset on Facebook of people who are concerned with the Clark speeding, and I gave Sergeant Scribner's information after he encouraged me to do so, and he's been very responsive. And this.
Yeah.
I have a question to the chief, but before going to you, I want to let Councilor Derby the opportunity to talk if you want to say something about this.
I was just gonna say that I think now with our the change that's kind of happened since we've all been quarantining a little bit more, there's a lot more people walking, and it seems like drivers, because there's less cars on the road, are paying a little bit less attention. So I think that this piece does make a lot of sense for us now. I mean, I watched a lady almost get run over on South Street today, just standing in the crosswalk waiting for like 5 cars to stop for her. So like I think this is still relevant.
Yeah.
Chief, with the data that we have, with those radar that we have, is any documentation that we have that is the speeding is a problem here? Is that many cars?
Particularly on Clark Street?
Yes.
Well, we'll know when we pull that sign back down. And I can find out when that is. I want to say it's the end of this week, and then we'll do the data dump on that sign.
Okay.
But to that end, I got a couple of things I just.
Go, Chief, and then I'm gonna let Tom pick. Yeah.
So what we did is Sergeant Scribner was tasked with, as our community services sergeant, providing a community service down to the folks at Clark Street. So he's been going back and forth, and he received an email, I want to say yesterday, that the community down there really appreciates the police presence. However, they followed up with that that there hasn't been much of a change in the behavior of the motoring public down there after, when the police sit there and then leave. One of the things I did, because there was a significant concern about the truck traffic with the detour, one of the things that I did is we have a DOT officer, Brian Ross, who's a sergeant. I believe I want to say he was before this committee. I know he was before the committee that was discussing the Jake break, but he's basically our truck team officer. So I actually paid him 2 days of overtime to sit down on Clark Street and do his truck team thing. So I know he stopped a whole bunch of DOT trucks. I think he cited a couple of them, but a lot of it was educational for them, in that what he could be citing them for speeding down Clark Street and paying attention. And I saw it for myself. I was coming off of Clark Street on East Street, and I almost got creamed by a speeding dump truck. So I saw it firsthand. So we're going to continue that. So the other thing I wanted to offer is that starting tomorrow, we just got our highway traffic safety grant. So starting tomorrow, we're putting those grant patrols out. And two of the areas that they're going to focus on is certainly Clark Street. And then the other one that we're getting significant complaints on is, which never had traffic before, is Clark and Clapp. Clapp and Fort Hill. So we're gonna focus our attentions with those grants on those areas.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Thank you. Tom, Councilor Peak.
Thank you, Councilor Gomez. I just wanted to say, when it comes to Clark Street, I ended up, I was reading a book the other day about traffic calming and traffic safety and stuff like that. And I think this is kind of interesting. What the basic idea that these people were saying is that the time when, and Chief, I'm actually interested what your opinion is on this. The time when traffic is the most dangerous is when drivers feel safe. Like when they feel like everything is fine and they don't have to be paying attention, they don't have to be watching their speed. Things are like that. And when you look at Clark Street, in a lot of ways, it's a place where people can feel pretty safe driving very fast because it's really, really straight. And there's not a tremendous number of sort of places where, it's wide, it's flat, it's straight, so there's, I just think that, when we're looking at that, that's sort of something that we need to keep in mind is we've got some streets that are designed in a way that makes people feel very safe driving over the speed limit on them. And then maybe when you guys, I'm really interested to see what you guys end up doing with the committee, because I think that that's what a lot of this is going to really come down to, is figuring out, are there any physical changes we could make to make it so that people feel like they need to be paying attention and going the speed limit when they drive, and that it doesn't feel like a racetrack for them. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you, Councilor.
Good point.
Anyone you want? I'm sorry?
I said that was a good point.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think he's right. Something that you want to add, Chief?
I would agree with Councilor Peak. Like anything, when somebody's in their comfort zone, everything, their attention span and rules and regs, go out the window. I think it's actually probably compounded with the fact that the police presence, and I think nationally, call volumes down for the police. And I think that certainly several police departments across the country have taken a position that they don't want to exchange paperwork with people during the COVID-19 for running the risk of contracting it from somebody. So I'm sure that traffic enforcement has fallen off. And, I know there's a whole bunch of memes about it, about people speeding and not having any traffic enforcement. So, and I know that we've seen a significant increase in speeds and traffic throughout the city. So no, I agree with Councilor Peak, and I just think it's compounded that we're in the middle of a pandemic and people have a mindset that the police aren't out there, so we're going to go as fast as we want to. But clearly that's not the case, as the motoring public on Clark Street has found out in the last couple of weeks.
And I think sometimes just seeing the police car, it does a huge, it makes a huge difference. Not even having to pull them over,
No, it's funny you say that, Council Derby, because so the traffic grant, the way the traffic grant was written and the way the reporting was prior to the COVID-19 pandemic was you had to stop X amount of cars per hour and report those. Each officer had to stop X amount of cars per hour. We couldn't dictate that they have to write X amount of cars because we can't do a quota, but they're mandated to stop X amount of cars per hour. So now they've changed it so that and the departments have the option in or out on these grants. Even though we have the grants, some departments are saying we're not taking the grants because we're not doing traffic, we're not exposing our officers. They're going to answer the 911 calls and the medical calls, but they're the proactive policing, the proactive interaction with the public, we're not going to do it because we don't want to run the risk of losing our force. So the way they rewrote the traffic rules and regs for us. Now you just have to be highly visible in an area and document that you're highly visible in that area. So you don't have to stop X amount of, just to your point, you don't have to stop X amount of cars per hour. You have to be highly visible. So you will see cruisers, which are above and beyond my regular staffing on the grant, highly visible. They're going to stop cars too, but their mission is to be out there and be seen. Listen, and again, I say this almost every time traffic comes up. I live on one of the busiest intersections in the city, and there are people that fly down my street faster than probably any other street in town. So I get a front row seat to it every day. Not to mention the accidents there.
Yes. Thank you, Chief. Anything from Councilor Derby or Rocha?
I would just say, so Chief, if you're looking for one other spot to send a cruiser, the entrance to Whitebrook, coming around that corner, people have been. It's like open season. Crossing the intersection, take your life in your hands.
I'll definitely add that to the list as soon as we're off this meeting, Council. Definitely
appreciate it.
Yeah. I think that the chief have a huge list where he can put.
I got to throw one in for my precinct,
Of course, you have to do your job.
Take care of your people.
Yeah. Councilor Rothschild?
So just to be clear, what's the next step in starting?
Yes, I'm going there now.
Okay.
Because I have to talk to President Conniff about the ordinance, if we're going to move it, if we're going to send it to the city solicitor or not. I'm going to schedule a meeting with her this week to figure out how we're going to do the committee.
Okay, great.
I don't know when it's going to be the meeting because she don't know we're going to have a meeting. But we're going to have a meeting this week. I can tell you that.
Okay.
Next meeting, I will give you a report. I will give you both the report about how that meeting went. I just want to ask if we can remove without prejudice the request to re-examine Main and South Street. We sent a letter to DOR, and you know what? If they respond that letter, good. If they don't, we can bring this topic back again. But I think we should remove it with a prejudice. I don't know what you guys think about it.
I'm fine. We can always bring it back.
So I will take a motion to remove the re-examine Main and South Street intersection.
I'll make a motion to remove without prejudice.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? No? Councilor Rothschild?
Yes.
Councilor Derby?
Yep.
I vote yes, so motion passed 3-0 to remove it.
I think the chief had a question.
Chad, I'll call the Lieutenant Colonel direct. Stand by. Sorry, I'm
Yes, Chief.
multitasking. So we actually have a cub stuck in a fence.
Aww.
And the mother bear is near the cub's side, won't leave the side, and the cub is not going to be able to get itself out.
Oh, jeez.
So
you guys are having a lot of wildlife lately.
Yeah, right. I know. They're working on that now. The question I had, not relative to your motion or your vote, was what does this committee look like? Is it a committee of? I missed that meeting. So was it a committee?
I have the document. Do you want me to?
Oh, yeah.
So
Just,
basically, The Board of Public Works sent us a document from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission.
Mhm.
Because in 2009, the town of West Springfield requested that they develop a calming, requested that the PVPC develop a toolkit for traffic calming examples. And they created kind of a toolkit how to address traffic calming in your community. So what they recommend is that a comprehensive traffic calming program can be established by a municipality with a committee or commission comprised of staff and volunteer residents. It can be helpful for the program to be staffed by the DPW or other municipal staff or consultants. The first step is to develop policies to outline how the program will identify and select traffic calming locations and appropriate traffic calming measures. And it goes on from there. We can send you this document so you see it, but it's basically this toolkit from the PVBC, and that's like, there's a bunch of recommendations, but it's by starting by getting this committee.
All right, great, thank you.
Did I share that documentation with all the counselors? I think I did. I don't remember. But can you please send it to everybody just again to remind everybody?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. About the parking, I start taking a few pictures of the signs because basically that's what we want to do. Like if we want to review all the parkings and see the time limit, because in some areas now doesn't make any sense, like 1 hour or 30 minutes. Some areas have 15 minutes, and that's one thing that we have to review. I don't know if any of the councilors have any comment about that. No? So I don't have anything else in the agenda.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Before second that,
I second.
now you see what happened now. I have to vote for that. Councilor Rothschild,
Yes.
Councilor Derby.
Yes.
Yes. What time is it? 6:20. Okay, I'm gonna.